I may have an unhealthy obsession with Parks and Recreation. It's funny how many people don't like that show. Because they started watching it at the beginning. And it's the perfect example of a show that didn't find its legs for a couple of years. A lot of the people who don't like who watched the first season of it and were kind of like, I don't like this. It's because it was a knockoff of The Office in the beginning. It really was. It was a total knockoff of The Office. And it was kind of, Leslie's character was very grating, and she was very, not really all that liked by everybody. She was just a little too enthusiastic and nobody else cared. And so it was kind of like The Office. In fact, I think a lot of the Office archetypes came right over into Parks and Rec. But the brilliance of Parks and Rec is that it became its own show pretty quickly, really. And after a while, in my opinion, it overtook The Office. It became just such a joyful show to watch. Don't feel guilty at all about this. Skip ahead. Skip ahead to the last 3 maybe episodes of season 2. The only reason why I wouldn't say skip straight to season 3 is because they set up a few things at the very end of season 2. Something that people don't give that show enough credit for is the world that they built. I actually got curious and I did a Google search for Pawnee, Indiana. I was wondering if it was a real place. But there was one that was City of Pawnee, Indiana, and you click on it, and it's a Parks and Rec website. It's actually quite brilliant. It looks exactly like a city municipal website. Really cheap, really not very well designed. But of course it's pictures of all the characters from Parks and Rec, and it makes it look like it's a real world. They had a gallery of all the murals in City Hall. And throughout this series, Leslie would sometimes talk about the city's history in these murals. And they really created this insanely funny, fantastical history of this kind of backwoods town where everything from its history is something horrible. And coming from a small town myself, I think that's hilarious. Most small towns, most cities in general, really want to bury the bad stuff from its history, but in this show, Pawnee celebrates it, slaughtering Indians, and really to go into that level of detail, setting up the world that this series takes place in, that's really extraordinary, and they don't get enough credit for that. And frankly, the art department deserves a lot of credit for that too. And I have to say, I got a little too wrapped up in that show. I had said before, it's not the best show on TV, or the best show of all time, but it was my favorite one to watch. I looked forward to it. It made me happy to watch this show. But ever since the show went off the air, I've been kind of binge watching on Netflix, and especially after the last episode, they did a lot of kind of flashing back and looking at how people got to where they are, a lot of flashing forward, but that's neither here nor there. But I kind of wanted to go back and see what was the genesis of these relationships that I had gotten so invested in, And so I've just kind of been binge watching on Netflix, just pretty much as I've been doing, as I've just been working on stuff. I've just had that on in the background. I've been watching it pretty much non-stop since then. I'm like, no, they're taking Parks and Rec away from me. I must watch as much as I can.